from the different layers within the caves that are now present in the repositories of many museums and research institutions all over the world, from France to Canada to Italy to, well, many of them. And this is actually the other challenge of this project, because apparently the old archaeologists, the archaeologists of the 19th and 20th century worked well, and most of these samples can be located within the correct unit. So we can actually have a sort of virtual stratigraphy with samples already taken by others, and we hope that this can work. But also we went inside the caves and tried to locate all the sea level indicators that had been described by previous authors. Some of them could be found, some of them could not, because many things happened inside the caves, particularly during the end of the 19th century, when there was exploitation of the caves as quarries, and during World War II, when the caves were bombed, in particularly this cave, which is the Barma Grande. Now you have the train that train line here. So, and we started measuring with a self-consistent datum system, and looking at what is left inside the caves and find out what can be used and what cannot be used. For example, there are some stratigraphies that are like this one that I am showing, that are basically artificial, are the product of accumulation of debris from probably the bombing phase or other types of rehandling activities. And then we decided to detect the bedrock morphology, so to remove virtually through geophysical prospecting all the materials, or the debris material that are preserved in situ, just to have an idea of what is, of how the bedrock is shaped. And then the other element that we want to add to all this body of evidence is to detect the submerged landforms and to reconstruct, in order to reconstruct the Pleistocene landscape on the continental shelf. Because we always say that our ancestors during, for example, the Upper Paleolithic were settling an area that now is submerged, but if we are very, if we use the right tools, we are convinced that we can reconstruct the paleo-landscape through landforms identification, detection, but also through identification of those that were to be the preferred points of settlement of our ancestors, because, for example, they were very likely settling around springs, and we have, for example, in this area, submerged springs that can be towards which our attention can be focused for reconstruction of settling of the submerged area. And then very quickly, a couple of hints. One of the very first things that we realized is that most likely the beach environment that we can highlight in this area connected to the MIS 5.5 stage was already settled. We have some evidence suggesting, but I will tell you more precisely later that on this surface, on this marine environment, marine coastal environment, there were already traces of human settlement. This is at least what seems at the moment, but we have to put together all our samples that are ready to be dated, and we will see. And then we are trying to get as many information as possible from our marine evidence, from interglacials older than 5.5. And this is very challenging because the type of sediment is something that needs to be very carefully examined, because we have consolidated tufa deposits that are belonging to marine deposits and to the marine environment alternatively, and to the continental environment. And we have to be able, we hope that we are able to disentangle between them, especially between the different marine phases that in some cases are located at elevations that are weird related to what we expect. So it is quite a difficult task to get a chronological outline of the different marine layers in the different phases. And finally, just to conclude, I expect that from this project I can get, we can get information about all the points of attention that basically can profit from a combined addressing of research on sea level studies and heritage of the past. And particularly that we can get information about settling attitudes of humans related to exploitation of marine resources. So this is my hope. At the moment, I am rather concerned with carrying out the project activities in due time and correctly. So I thank you for the attention, and hope that in the next future I can talk you again about the results of the project. For the moment, I invite you to visit our website to have more details on the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Marta. Thank you for your very interesting presentation. And I would like to ask to the participants if are there oh, okay, Pietro raised his hand. So Pietro, please.
First of all, let me to salutate Marta Pappalardo and compliment with her for the research activity that just shown us today. And the topic is obviously the response of the coastal area to sea level change. And you gave us a lot of information, idea among this topic, and many questions and consideration can be done. No, I have two questions. The first one is related to how the first is my consideration. I agree totally with you about the that is impossible to do a coastal prediction without a robust knowledge of the past. So I think that the approach that you have just shown us is extremely effective to do this evaluation for coastal vulnerability assessment. So the question is, in your opinion, how we can manage this data, no, to predict the future? Okay, so in which way we can use this data about our models for coastal flooding, for examples. The second question, the second question is related to the case of that you just shown of Crocodile Highland, where you have clearly shown us that that a period of activity of human evidenced by a gap in the remains of humans there. So in such a way, we can use this as a way to understand exactly what can be the fast rise of sea level in some areas, such as some areas that could be transformed in a insular one. Okay, so also this data can be used for some evaluation in some other parts of the world. So So in this way, I also am also interested to know your opinion about.
Thank you, Pietro, for your questions.
Thank you to you, because it's very, very interesting. For your very interesting.
Well, I think that each study area has its peculiarities and its critical points. So I agree with you. In any case, knowing about the past supports us to build predictive models. I'm not. Well, I wouldn't be very confident in building predictive model, but someone has